Hello everybody, it's Starrapter here, and welcome to my first ever Q&A video. I want to thank everybody out there that has sent in questions over the last few days through Twitter, through Facebook, through YouTube comments. It's been a great turnout so far. I hope that this video gives you a better understanding of who I am personally. So getting right into it, starting with the YouTube comments, the Lowdown Show asks, when and where did you first see and become a Star Wars fan? Well, that goes all the way back to about the age of 4 or 5. I remember going over a neighbor's house and watching Return of the Jedi from about the point in Jabba's palace, and I just quickly was kind of scared of the aliens, but kind of very intrigued at the same time, and that's kind of where it all started for me. And then later on, I watched the special editions in theaters and whatnot. So next question, Tom Ackerman asks, "What are your favorite Star Wars comics and books?" Well, I'll just give a few, let's say Legends books. Darth Bane trilogy, Path of Destruction, hands down one of my favorite books. Another one I really enjoyed is Kenobi by John Jackson Miller. I also really like the Thrawn trilogy. Then looking at the canon side of things, as far as novels are concerned, I really like Star Wars Bloodline, the story about Leia about 6 years before The Force Awakens. And of course, I love Lords of the Sith. It's like a road trip story between Palpatine and Vader, after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And Thrawn's been a great book so far. The Lost Stars has been a really excellent young reader novel, or young adult reader novel, put out by Claudia Gray as well, same author that does Bloodline. Moving over to comics, there's a few I want to mention. So Lando, it's a mini series set in between New Hope and Empire. It's really, really funny. Definitely the most humorous out of all of them. I also really enjoyed Shattered Empire, which is kind of like right after the events of Return of the Jedi, showing the fallout of the Empire and whatnot. The Han Solo miniseries is also really, really good. It's just a short 5-issue series about Han Solo in between The Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope, and it kind of goes over his thoughts of should he remain with the rebellion or should he just continue in his smuggling ways. So yeah, there are just a few of the canon novels and legends, as well as some comics that I do enjoy a lot. So next question, Stealth Doorknob asks, would you consider wearing a Jedi/Sith garb and rock the full hood in your videos? If you fully embrace the Force, this channel could become more powerful than you could ever imagine. 1 second. So would something like this suffice for all my videos? I think I'm going to just keep wearing this for the rest of the video. Why not? So the Geek Addict asked 2 questions. First one, what was the first Star Wars book you read? So that would probably be Star Wars Heritage of the Jedi, and I think that was a starting book for a lot of fans out there, because it just was like the very first Star Wars kind of story, like post Return of the Jedi, that kind of carried on what was going on in the movies and just expanding it outward to create the expanding universe. And that book definitely struck me as, just a continuation. It was something that was really just explored such new territories with the character of Thrawn, especially. Going on to, do you collect Legends books? Well, sort of. I mean, I mostly deal with canon, but every once in a while I do pick up a Legends book. I mean, if you look behind me right there, there's basically a bunch of Legends books on that second shelf. The most recent one I picked up was Star Wars Vector Prime. I haven't actually even started it yet because people are telling me that's the book that Chewie gets crushed by a moon. So I'm not really looking forward to that. I picked up that book to learn more about the Yuuzhan Vong, because from what I heard, that's like their first appearance in Star Wars Expanded Universe Legends material. Another book, that the most recent Legends book I read, which is probably going to, like about a year ago now, is Shadows of the Empire, and oh man, was that novel really good. And I'm a huge fan of Shadows of the Empire in general. I've really loved the games that came out in the late 90s with, the N64 game. And then there's apparently comics, so I'm always looking out for the comics because I just love Dash Rendar and Prince Xizor as a character. And they gotta be made canon somehow, I really hope. So the next question is asked by Daniel Sternberg. How would you recommend starting a Star Wars YouTube channel? Well, that's a great question. And, I think the best way to go about it is to kind of find your niche. Like, for me, I like to encompass a lot of Star Wars, but I also do my weekly Star Wars, This Week in Star Wars canon videos, where I kind of just, study what's coming out that week And if you can find that you like doing, let's say, theory videos, if you find like you like to do reviews of certain Star Wars Rebels episodes, if you like to just review the books, you're probably better off getting like a more specific audience to get people to come to your channel. Like basically, if you're offering specific content that you can't find anywhere else, you're going to get more of an audience base versus if you just kind of cover everything in broad strokes. But then again, the way I look at my channel too is like I just like to put out content there that interests me personally. And if other people like that content, then great. You like I have these unboxing videos. They don't do the best sort of, have the best viewers or retention rate on those videos, but hey, I just like to show off, show and tell my damn Star Wars figures, and if anybody else enjoys them, that's great too. So yeah, basically just make the content you want to make. Try to think of something outside of the box as far as, special videos that you could do every week. Definitely always remain, consistent. Try to put out at least one video a week. That way you always have content for your subscribers to come back to and to look forward to. Next question's asked by my coworker. Her name is Yangir Samurai on YouTube, and she asks, why don't you like anime? And, well, I just can't get over the art style. I mean, it's just a very weird thing to say. Well, maybe not that weird, but okay, so the anime I kind of did watch was Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was pretty much the extent. I never got into Dragon Ball Z. I never got into, Inuyasha or Naruto or any of those shows because I just can't get over just the art style with all the spiky hair and all that kind of stuff. I was basically into Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh just for the cards and the actual games, and that kind of translates to the games too. Like as far as Japanese RPGs are concerned, that turns me off as well. Just like I don't know, just something about the art style. It's really hard for me to kind of articulate in a way that makes me sound, like I'm actually giving you a logical reason other than just I don't like how it looks. So moving on to my Facebook questions, Edwin Lowe, who also wrote in on YouTube earlier, he's also got his YouTube channel. Check out the Lowdown Show. He asks, what does Starrapter mean? I know everybody's probably dying to get the answer to this question, and well, that takes me back to about 7 years old or something. And of course I love Jurassic Park and I might like Star Wars too, and I said, hey, why don't I just combine the two to create my AOL screen name, because that's how far back I'm going with this, guys. So I love Velociraptors and I like things in the stars, so let's just make them come together as Starrapter. And it's been history ever since. I mean, Starrapter is a great name because I use it across the board on all different handles, all different usernames. There's only been like one occurrence where I couldn't use Starrapter because for whatever reason they wanted me to use numbers after Starrapter. That was for Pokemon Go. Yeah, it sucked. So I'd use like Starrapter 27. But that's why I like the name, because I never have to put numbers after it. And I said, hey, I might as well just make this my YouTube channel because I'm just so used to being called Starrapter and different gaming, different games and whatnot. So yeah. Now, next question is asked by CJ Hogan. He asks, when will the hate in Star Wars fandom simmer down and the split between everyone repeat itself? So I think he's talking about mainly in the expanding universe, the Legends fans, and the whole acquisition of Disney back in 2012. So as we know, all the expanding universe became Legends, not canon anymore. And a lot of people were really bummed out about that. I don't blame them because a lot of the stuff they're reading, it just doesn't count anymore. Although, the way I look at it is it's all Star Wars. I enjoy all of that stuff, and it's just all what you make out of it. Like, yeah, you can have your separate, universe over here, and you can have what's going on in the movies and the new books and everything over there. So I think the way that this, simmers down is because they are slowly introducing people's fan favorites of Star Wars characters like Thrawn into the canon now, and different other like ships and everything else are slowly getting explored in Star Wars because they're doing their best. They're basically, I think what they're doing is they're cherry picking things from the EU that really worked and leaving out some of the bits that didn't work so much and kind of giving like a new look on certain characters. So I think, give it another year or two, I think people are gonna actually not have that much of a problem. You just have to have some patience. And will it ever repeat itself? Well, I really don't think it will, because once we get on that level where we're a few years down the road, I think everything's going to be kind of meshed well together. I mean, that's not to say that there's going to be people out there that are still going to be burned by the whole thing because they own like 100 EU novels, and that was kind of like their hobby, and now it's like not being looked upon as, official. So there's always going to be like a split. But I just, as long as there isn't as much of a split, I think they're doing a great job with it so far. So moving on to a question asked by Alan, and he's asking, what type of dog is this? Well, I mean, it looks like a Borat. What do you guys think? What kind of dog is this? Because he looks kind of fluffy. Yeah, he looks like can transform. Maybe he transforms into some kind of dog or something. He's some kind of warg or something. I don't know. Great question though. So moving on to Matthew Wilson, he's asking, do you read slash collect Legends canon? I kind of went over this question already. There might be a few stories that I pick up here and there, but mostly I'm having so much trouble just keeping up with the canon kind of library that it's been pushed to the wayside. First Star Wars book I ever read was the Thrawn trilogy, or Heir to the Empire. Sorry. Oh, favorite movie of all time. Empire Strikes Back, actually. Like I mentioned, Return of the Jedi, I kind of watched the movies out of order, but then when I finally realized as I grew older, The Empire Strikes Back is just not only a better sequel, it's just a damn best Star Wars movie ever made. All the characters are given time to breathe, they're given more character development, there is more humor, but then it's also a darker story. It's just the special effects are even greater. Literally everything is a step up from A New Hope. And it's just, the big plot twist at the end, of course. And yeah, it's overall just an extraordinary film that just really cemented my fandom with Star Wars. And my first Star Wars experience, yeah, as I kind of mentioned that before about the whole, going to my friend's house to watch it. But I also share another memory, and that's kind of going to see the special editions and that whole craze. I remember just walking out of the theater with my aunt and some others, and I'm just like, wow, this is. I didn't realize at the time that like this is going to turn into a big part of my life, kind of thing. So yeah, definitely. Way back when I've been a fan for. Well, over 20 years now, pretty much. So, moving over to my last question. This one's on Twitter. This is put out by Stan Wilkes at Garreton Lives. He asked 3 separate questions. His first question is, most personal reason for loving Star Wars? And I think this ties back to my first experience with, watching Star Wars with Jabba the Hutt and all, is, wow, I really loved all these cast of unique alien characters. And as a collector of the action figures, and I still collect here and there, I really just loved all the designs of, the Rhodians, the Weequays, the Hutts, the Grands. I could just keep going to the Twi'leks. Like, they are so out of this world, obviously, and it's just so different for me that I just immediately, like, I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what this thing is, but I gotta keep watching it. Okay, so next question is, what is your most underrated movie? Well, I got news to break to you guys. I've never really watched that many movies until about I started this channel up. I kind of watched just like Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Godzilla and a lot of the Disney movies, and that was pretty much my extent. Like, I wasn't a very, vigilant kind of guy when it comes to film. And but I will say this: I just watched a film the other night which really affected me. And I keep kind of thinking about it. Unbreakable. This is directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Bruce Willis. This is his M. Night Shyamalan's second film after The Sixth Sense. And I really appreciated this film because this was before the whole Marvel craze of what's going on now with the big bombastic, lots of action, just a very straightforward story. Whereas Unbreakable was just a very kind of indie-ish kind of film where it's this character played by Bruce Willis. He goes through his whole life, basically, and there's one incident that happens where he's left basically unscathed, and he just kind of like slow. It's a very slow movie, and it's about him kind of just like becoming who he is, and it's not even about world domination. It's not about anything like that. It's just like a very small scale kind of story of him You know, his family is a very big part of it, and it's just an excellent film, and I just don't really ever hear people talking about it. So I'm going to use that as my most underrated movie because I just haven't really seen that many films. And this next question is, can you sum up your life in a movie quote? Well, I think this quote, just best fits me. This is from Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. I just kind of strive to always get to the next level. I always try to just think about what's coming next, what can I do better, specifically with the YouTube channel. What could I do better next time? What can I improve upon? So that is definitely a quote that I think kind of sums me up right now. So that is going to do it for my Q&A. First ever. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to do more of these in the future, probably for just subscriber milestones, like for, the 200 that I did now. So maybe 300, maybe 500. I don't know. But you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for getting involved on the channel. I really appreciate you guys reaching out on all of my different social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You guys, please get involved. I also have an Instagram as well, and you can get involved on that by reaching me at Starrapter. So definitely you want to do that. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm Starrapter, and bye-bye. So, did you like the video? Then make sure you rate it a thumbs up, and if you did that, go over there, hit that Starrapter head to subscribe to my channel. Doing so will keep you up to speed on all of my latest content. Speaking of which, you can see a couple of my recent uploads down below. I'm also on social media, so what are you waiting for? Let's start nerding out.